All right, getting everything started here. So many of our listeners have been checking out Ned, and the feedback has been amazing. Chris and I have been using it. I've been using it more typically at night. Chris, I know you've switched off different
I
times,
yeah
gone up from the 300 dosage.
and then to the 1500. I just want, because of course if I want to speak eloquently and with some sense of validity, I want to try all of it, and because because of my post traumatic stress and because of my ulcerative colitis or IBD, um, and arthritis in my fingers and stuff. I figured, well, what the hell? I've got these conditions. Let's just see which one works best, and I can tell people so they don't have to go spend money trying to find which one works. I say this is what's working, and take it for what it's worth. And and again, I'm back to using it at night. I think night's still the best for me. I did try to do it in the daytime a little bit, and it was fine. But I still do. I'm the same as you. After running with it now, I think what's 3 months at least, haven't we? Three
Yeah,
months, two.
pretty much,
Yeah,
just about. Yeah.
consistently. I've been finding that that's why I tried the morning, afternoon, and night. I
Some people are
prefer
doing
the
all
night too.
three. Some people do like three a day. I mean, it doesn't get you high. It'd be a bit much for me, but
Well, what if you have high anxiety? Because that's what it's for. It's to
yeah.
calm you down or to even you out. And when I say even you out, that means you could have depression, or you could be on the other spectrum and have severe anxiety. It helps with both. It brings it to the center line. And yeah, if you need to do it 3 times a day, then yeah, definitely do it 3 times a day. It's not like you're taking hard medication 3 times a day, or like you're taking Percocet or something like that.
That
So
was like my grandpa was all about the
oh yeah.
Percocet. That's all another podcast.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about it because that's that. Yeah, that's an addicting. Yeah. Well,
Oh
anyway,
yeah.
yeah, right. Another podcast. But no, I upped the. I took the 1500 milligram one, and to be honest with you, I just take less of a dose of it. I still think was it the 300 that we
300. Yeah.
started on, brother. Yeah, the 300 worked great. It's a high. I would take a higher dosage though. So really, that 1500. I take the lower dosage, the bottle is lasting me longer. But it is more expensive too. So you have six in one hand, half dozen in the other. I think it's really just what your preference is. But but now it's been fantastic, and I'm back to taking it at night, and I'm doing. Like I said, as you can tell from all you listeners and everybody that follows me on social media, I'm really back to my old self of what I was, before all this craziness started 4 or 5 years ago, and I got wrapped into a little bit of the limelight and bought a little bit into my own bullshit, which which really took me down a slippery slope. But this has really helped me come out of it. And the side positive too is that I wasn't expecting it to help, but it helped out with my ulcerative colitis too, my inflammatory bowel disease. So hey, that's a win-win right there.
Absolutely. It doesn't get better than that. And I don't think I've seen anyone handle this whole situation better than you, staying calm. And yes, CBD has been an extremely popular supplement in the past year. And as the market becomes saturated, it becomes more and more difficult to navigate and choose the right company and product. That's where Ned comes in. They produce the highest quality CBD extracted from the finest organic hemp plants from a small homestead in the bountiful farmland of Paonia, Colorado. Ned is a wellness brand offering science-backed and nature-based solutions that offer an alternative to prescription and over-the-counter drugs. No isolates, no synthetic ingredients, and Ned shares third-party lab reports, who farms their products, their extraction process, all that right there on their site. So there's full transparency, and their full-spectrum hemp oil only contains their CBD extract and non-GMO MCT oil. That's it. And they say this, and it really is true. The taste is clean and pure. I've grown to love the taste. Uh,
If you've grown up in Colorado and you've ever went in the Sangre de Cristo Range or down there in southern Colorado, where I grew up in Alamosa, Mount Blanca, and that area in there, if you've ever gone pine cone hunting or pinion, they call it the pinion nuts, is what we used to go pick up when we were kids in Colorado there, and you've eaten pinion nuts or pine nuts, that's what it tastes like. If you don't know what that tastes like, well, now you do. So if you ever eat pine nuts, then you know what that tastes is. But that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of going pine hunting and getting pinion nuts or pine nuts when I was growing up. That's the taste. But it should be if they're farming there in Olathe, Colorado as well,
yep.
because that's where the stuff's coming from. So yeah, it tastes. It tastes. Yeah, you do have to get a little bit used to the taste if
Oh,
you're
I
not used
liked
to
it.
that.
I liked it immediately, actually.
I said I was like, well, shit, this is when I used to eat Pinyon nuts back home. It tastes just like that little bit of a smoky pine flavor. And it's, I have no issues with it, and I still have no issues with it, but I grew up on that kind of stuff too in that area. No, it's well worth it. If you have a little bit of a off on the taste, you're kind of getting used to it, you will. And eventually, like Ian just said, eventually it's just, it's nothing new. It's just like getting up and eating a bowl of cereal in the morning. It's that taste that you're used to, and it doesn't bother you. And the effects, of course, are fantastic. Well worth whatever taste preferences you have. But Ian and I both concur with the taste is perfectly fine.
Yeah,
I
it doesn't.
enjoy it.
It doesn't have like any artificial taste to it,
Mm-mm.
because it's not. So
It's not.
cannabinoids have a wide range of benefits and regulate nearly every biological system in the human body. You've heard us talk about the benefits: sleep aid, anti-inflammatory, natural pain reliever, post-traumatic stress treatment, treatment of depression, rich source of antioxidants, and the treatment of serious chronic conditions such as epilepsy, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and more. Those are some of the bigger conditions that you may want to consult with your physician first, as they would tell you. But yeah, we're hearing great things, and really the science is still getting there, that we're gonna see the full benefits of CBD as more and more people are taking it. So
Definitely.
Ned is going to benefit you guys. It will not get you high. Full spectrum hemp is a non-psychotropic. Ned products contain a minuscule amount of THC, less than 0.3%, as allowed by law. And if you want to check out Ned and try CBD, as so many people in our audience have, we have a special offer code for the Battleline audience. Go to helloned.com/Battleline or enter Battleline at checkout for 15% off your first order, plus free shipping. That's HELLONED.com/Battleline. One word to get 15% off your first order, plus free shipping. Thank you, Ned. And every show is sponsored, of course, by Fort Scott Munitions. Fort Scott is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition that is designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. Fort Scott Munitions is available throughout privately owned businesses in all 50 states, as well as directly online through fortscottmunitions.com. As you mentioned on the last podcast, a great thing to see is, as many businesses right now are in uncertain times, Fort Scott is actually hiring people and keeping the economy going.
Yeah, they're doing fantastic, and a good family, good people, and just like they always do, they always are backing Battle Lineup. They back my stuff up. I have a new product called the Tonto's Toolbox. Actually, it's an old product that Gen 1 that we retooled and fixed. It's a little 300 blackout PDW, or a little pistol. So what those are, they really are short barrel rifles, but we have to give them the nomenclature PDW because of the certain buttstock on it. It means they're a long or a short barrel rifle or a long barrel pistol. But those Tonto's toolboxes that I'll be selling here, I believe I'll probably put them on today on the website. Fort Scott came in and is donating 100 rounds of 300 blackout ammunition, which isn't cheap, for a drawing for whoever buys one of those 40. We'll do a drawing of a prize package that they get a lot of great stuff, and including in that is Fort Scott, who stepped up and said, well, we'll donate 100 rounds of 300 blackout supersonic ammunition, or 115 grain ammunition, which nice. Guys, that's not cheap. And so it is. That's just the kind of people they are. They do well. They're doing well right now, but they always give back, especially to those that are very loyal to them, which I am, and their loyalty shows back through to us, myself, and of course the podcast. So yeah, check them out. Go check out Fort Scott Munitions, and you'll be happy with their product.
100%. So once again, fortscottmunitions.com. Use the exclusive promo code Battleline for 15% off your order. Only available to listeners of the Battleline podcast. Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Chris Peranto, Battleline Tactical, and the Battleline Podcast. Let's hit the music from Jinx, Fails. Let's get right into it.
On the microphones, pure and uncensored American straight talk. Never quit. You're locked and loaded with Chris Peranto and Ian Scotto. This is the Battleline Podcast.
Which is on, motherfucker, I'm going to shoot you in the face.
The switch is on. Battleline Podcast. Really excited to have Graham Allen coming on this episode. Neither of us really know Graham, so this will be our first time talking to him. The guy's gained a major following, and I was asking this recently. I guess this is just the way I'm going to put it. How is your sentence right now going? How am I putting it again? I was saying home. What is it called?
Home confinement.
House arrest.
House arrest. Yeah, well, I don't have an ankle bracelet yet, so we're okay here in the Midwest. I see, and this is again, that's why I don't watch the news. I don't want any sort of outward influence of what I'm seeing, and that's how when I used to work downrange too. I said, guys, give me some intel, but then I get out in the city and you just start to feel and you look and you see how people are acting, and you just can get a feel of how people are. And you know, that sense of panic that people had initially when this all first started. Yeah, and it was, guys. And don't tell me it wasn't, because a lot of you out there was shitting yourself. You were. I seen it. I could go to the stores. I could just see it in people's eyes. That has since subsided within the general population, in my opinion. But I do believe that the politicians now, they're the ones that are like, I refer back to Judge Dredd. Like, I am the law enforcing these laws. In some of these states, you're probably in New York City. Yeah, you're in a confined space with a huge population. Yeah, you probably want to put some regulations on where people could collect. You know, you probably want to do a little bit of that. You want to handle it correctly and don't come out and say, I am the law and I am going to give you misdemeanors and I'm going to write you up for this. I mean, there has to be some tact to it, which I haven't seen from anybody in the country, as far as politicians, governors, and so forth go. But but here in Nebraska, you know, the mayor, and I don't really care for her, and also the Omaha police, the chief of police, I really don't care for, and they know that. Coming out and just shutting down facilities, and what I see it is they're just responding to what everybody else is doing, particularly New York, even though, like we just said, you've got 10 times the population on Long Island than we have in basically the whole eastern part of Nebraska. You know, putting some of these regulations, I think, were silly. And so what I'm saying is, I see the politicians now are the ones doing the knee jerking and the panicking, but also, to me, it's just like, I have the power. I'm going to tell you what to do, and this is what you're going to do, instead of really using common sense per state. So I do believe that, New York should have probably a stricter set of rules because of, and you should say the same. We talk about this offline, Ian.
Yeah.
You guys have a lot more people. You have, all the cases, damn near 85% of the case is in New York, and in the metropolitan area, where you give everywhere else, especially Nebraska. What do we have 500 cases maybe? And I love the word prospective cases. Well, what the hell does that mean? Is it or isn't it? Are you just waiting to see if you can? And that's what I see a lot of things too. I think people are applying COVID for all encompassing. Hey, do you have pneumonia or COVID? Well, it looks like you might have COVID. We're going to give it COVID. We're just going to say you have it, so the numbers go up. I see that a little bit. I do. I really do. And you and I think we disagree a little bit on that. But that will be something 2 years from now when we're having this podcast, we go and look at the numbers. But what I'm getting at, brother, is the people itself, I think, have really calmed down. I really do. I believe that people themselves are, like I said in one of our podcasts, two or three podcasts ago, I said people will generally get used to what's going on. Like when I made the reference to Ranger School. Ranger School sucks, but after a month of it, your body and your mind get used to it. So it's just an everyday thing. Every day is going to suck, and you just get used to sucking, and you just deal with it. That's the beauty of human nature. That's the beauty of being in America, really. It really is. We have that capability, and people do that. But now I'm seeing the politicians. I think they enjoy a little bit of the control, especially the governors and the mayors using these executive, whatever the hell they call them, to make new rules. And I've been in positions where you have authority. When you have a little bit of that authority, you got to be careful, because it can become like a drug and it's addicting, and you have to be careful not to just enjoy that authority. So when you need to start loosening it up, you can't let it go. And I see that, man. I really do within a lot of the political and within the political spectrum. But the populace itself, I see a lot of people just, all right, we're getting back to normal. Yeah, I'm ready to get back out, but we're just taking it for what it is, and we'll write it out, and that's a good sign. And here in Nebraska, buddy, with me, it's business as usual. I really haven't changed much. I still get out as much as I can running. It's not because of the COVID. It's because it's damn springtime and it's still 30 degrees. That's why I don't get out as much as I'd like to. But I know it's different here than it is in New York City. So you expound on that.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because I can't talk.
Yeah,
about that.
I mean, I think people are aware of it. There's nothing else to really talk about because people are going to see it. The one thing I was going to mention that I at least thought was funny was Tig was posting what summer plans did you have that COVID fucked up, and a lot of people are posting different things. A lot of people liked what I posted, and I said Top Gun 2. And I've been thinking about it a lot, and you know what it is, man? You know why I think people are saying right now the country is so divided, we need something to unite us. And I've realized during other tragedies in American history, there's always something else to distract us from politics that does unite us. I always think back, especially in New York, when they play the highlight of Mike Piazza hitting that first home run when baseball was back. I was at that game. I was at that game.
Oh, that's
with
awesome.
my dad.
I have his rookie card, dude. I love Mike
so
Piazza.
cool.
I have a rookie card. Awesome.
And hey, super nice guy. Got to meet him, man. He's a listener of Andrew Wilkow.
That's cool. That is so cool.
Yeah, so I got a chance to meet him. Very cool guy. But the point is, I think we have like that Tiger King show on Netflix distracting us at least. But I think people just need something big to get away from all of this because, people always say politics is divisive, and it's designed to be divisive.
Yeah.
And I really would love to see, because now Top Gun 2 is delayed another 6 months, and I really would have loved to have seen people going to the theater, Democrat, Republican, independent, and I really feel like if it's anything like the first movie, they will come out of there. You've talked about this before, just feel good movies, and saying life is good, and also God bless America, God bless our military, and we don't have that right now, and it's an unprecedented time in America because after 9/11, a lot of things did get relatively back to normal, and we're going to have a while until things get back to normal, and we could focus on positive things rather than all this.
Well, and we can definitely. But here we go again with the that's why I tell people just stop watching the news because politicians we're placing blame and placing this and that on why is this going on or what happened or who dropped the ball. And we said again 3 or 4 podcasts ago, I remember saying it's like, don't worry about that. Don't worry about when this is done. When the war, and I'm going to use war as the analogy because COVID's a terrorist right now. When the war is done and we have beat the COVID, whatever the hell we want to call it, Michelob virus, COVID virus, whatever, then you do the AAR and you say, what did we do wrong? All right, is there fault? Is there some blame? Because people died. You don't need to look for blame, but if there is something that was done egregious, there's got to be responsibility for it. That's part of being in charge. That's what you sign up for when you're in charge. But don't do it now. And I know the election's coming up, and that's where I mean, if I watch regular TV, damn commercials come on because the elections are coming up, and that's the focal. Whose blame? Whose fault was it? Who's this or that? Boy, what that doesn't bring. It's not bringing anybody together. Again, we're using this tragedy. This flu on steroids is what I call it. We're using this again as a political rallying point for a base.
Oh, absolutely. And by the way, I know we have Graham coming on, and Graham is a big Trump guy. I'm just going to keep it real. Trump's been very guilty of it. He's talking about sleepy Joe Biden during these press conferences. That's not what people want to hear about. And you know what I think people forget? And I think you could probably relate to this because I think a lot of the same people I do in this sense. There's, you're not only the president or a politician for Republicans and Democrats, but you know what? There's a huge portion of people in this country who don't vote. And a lot of them are some of the most intelligent people I know. In fact, we've had people on this podcast I know, who are very smart, keep up on politics, and they don't vote because they don't like the choices that they're given.
Yeah.
And you know what? They just want to hear what we're doing to solve this, and they don't really care about what other side is doing. And for those people, I think you just got to have the respect to keep it out of this for right now. And everybody's doing it. This is not about taking favorites, for me at least.
No, I agree. I agree. And I use the analogy of battles and war because that's what I know. That's my background. I'm not Sergeant York, but I grew up in that, and that's when you deployed to the Middle East or wherever else I was going for 10 years, that's what I use. So I'm going to apply it that way. But and let's even use Benghazi as an example. Believe me. At 3 a.m. in the morning, after we were right before we started our second firefight at our compound, it was our fourth one that night that we got into. I wasn't blaming. I was, oh damn it, why is Obama not sending us? Oh shit, why isn't Hillary sending us planes? Where's the military? No, the focus was eliminate this threat here and now. Not one time, even that whole evening or into the next morning, did I think to myself, who am I going to blame this on when I get back to the States? Not one time did I have that thought. And that's what people are doing. Who am I going to blame this on? Hey, guys, we're not even out of the woods yet. Let's not blame anybody for anything yet, because really all the cards are still out. Stop doing that, because right now we need to win this war, this battle that we have with this Micheloba virus, this Libby virus. We got to win that first. Then once that's done, now we go back and do our AAR. We do our after action report, after action review, whatever you want to call it, whatever military branch of service you were in. Then you figure out what went wrong, what went right, what did we need to improve on, what don't we need to improve, what did we do well, and so we're better prepared the next time. But doing it in the middle right now, that's not helping us win anything. It's basically, it's not doing anything positive at all. It's placing blame and saying that, oh, well, it's your fault, vote for me. That's not doing anything to help out, man. And I honestly learned that from being at Ranger Battalion. That's what I learned. You always focus on the job at hand. What's the task at hand? Get that done. Figure out what you did wrong. And that's leadership too. Figure out what you did wrong, figure out what you did right, make the improvements, whatever you did right, sustain those things you did right, and move on and be better prepared for the next time we're dealing with this. But I just don't see that, man. But again, that's why I turn off the news. Maybe that is happening.
I agree. No, I've been listening to all different other stuff. Right before we recorded, I was listening to Eddie Trunk on Sirius XM doing his top 5 singers of in rock music, which I thought was pretty cool. I submitted my list to him. So no, I'm listening to plenty of things to get my mind off this, as I know you are.
Oh yeah, actually, tell me who the top 5 were.
Oh, the top 5.
Tell me.
I'll look at my email right now, because I off the top of my head I may get it wrong, and I really did think about this before I sent it in.
It's like it's a big deal if we get things wrong about rock singers or rock musicians on this show. I thought people were still alive that died a while ago. Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah, I really had to think this over, because there's just a lot of people I like, and I'm stalling because I'm going into my
Rob Halford has to be number 1. That's all.
No, I didn't have Rob Halford. I'll tell you right now.
Oh, my Lord.
This is who I personally like. You want me to start with 1 or start with 5?
Start with 5. Work your way.
All right. Yeah. Brad Noel from Sublime.
Okay.
Great
Sublime.
singer.
Yeah.
Aaron Lewis from Stains, number 4. Not only great singer, great guy.
But you know what? He could be considered country too now, though, dude.
Yeah,
it's possible. Okay, go ahead.
Sebastian Bach from Skid Row, number 3.
He sang in theater. He sang in the opera.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, that dude is a talent. 18 and life to. Nobody can hit those octaves. Those octaves that he can hit. Oh my Lord! I loved watching his whenever he do interviews, because he's just so over the top. But you could just tell he's just the kind of guy you want to sit and have a beer with, because he would just be so entertaining just to sit and talk to, man. Yeah, good pick. Good pick.
Yeah, and then Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses. I'm a huge Axl fan.
Yep.
And personal favorite of mine. This probably would have made most people's list, but I mean, I'm just a huge Deftones guy. So Chino Moreno from the Deftones.
Yeah.
I will maybe get to yours, but I want to make sure we're getting to Graham Allen. So right now, just talk about Fort Scott Munitions before
I
you bring
got
it
it. Yep.
on.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
if you want to give me your top five, I'd love to hear it right after.
Honestly, I can't.
So,
I think people miss it because he's when he's with Slipknot, there's a lot more of the
Corey Taylor.
growling in the heart. But Corey Taylor can sing, man. The dude can
He's
sing.
up there, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
So
Now go ahead though. Go ahead.
Absolutely, man. So Fort Scott Munitions is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition that is designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. Fort Scott Munitions is available throughout privately owned businesses in all 50 states, as well as directly online, of course, through fortscottmunitions.com. That's really the place to go right now because, it's just easier to order things online at the moment.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
use exclusive promo code Battleline for 15% off your order. Only available to listeners of the Battleline podcast. You hear us talk about them every show, and they do a great job supporting us, and we support them. So once again, Battleline, 15% off when you go to fortscottmunitions.com. They're a proud supporter of Chris Peranto, Battleline Tactical, and the Battleline podcast. We love the people at Fort Scott, and with that, I'm excited to talk to Graham Allen for the first time.
Yeah. Let's knock it out, bro.
Joining us, of course, for the first time on Battleline Podcast, Graham Allen, 12-year Army veteran, best known, of course, as the Daily Rants guy that you've seen on social media, and the host of the Dear America podcast, now the author of America 316, which is going to come out July 28th, available for pre-order on your website. Man, I'm excited to talk to you because I'd love to hear about your military background and all that. But the thing I was saying to Chris actually before we had you on that I think is interesting is I think you and I are around the same age, right? I'm 33.
Yeah. I just turned 33 in January.
Okay, so we're exactly the same age.
Yeah.
And so what's interesting to me is like I graduated from Hofstra with a radio degree in 2009. And at that time, it was like this thing where if you wanted to be in radio, you wanted to do anything in media, you had to get in with some company. You had to have a program director who likes you. And it was all about making connections. And I feel like you and a handful of other people were the first of being able to gain an audience just because the people liked you. It wasn't about any higher up at any company. And the people gravitated towards you and you blew up from there, which I think is just so cool. And I'd love to hear about.
Yeah, well, it's the past 3 years, especially right around four, right at the end of 2015, going into 2016 is when you first started to see these people pop up that were opinionistic folks that weren't necessarily in the media or things like that. They just had an opinion, right? And they were just saying what they wanted to say. One thing that I'm extremely proud of that we've done here is we took a gimmick, which when it all started, and I've been very honest about this, and even in the book, I talk about this. It was very much a gimmick at first. This Daily Rants guy, Dear America, all that stuff was very much a gimmick. But I knew very early on, even when I started that, I said, we can't be this forever. We have to figure out a way to turn it from the Daily Rants guy into Graham Allen. And so we did everything the complete opposite way of everyone else. I mean, you saw all these guys, Emery King, who was that girl, Nicole Arbor, John Burke, a combat veteran. You've seen all these people come and you've seen their momentum die out a good bit. And I think it's because we decided to do things different. And, we didn't start selling T-shirts everywhere. We didn't start putting article links of everything, trying to make quick money in the audiences. And I think the audience has rewarded us for that. And now, we've got multiple things that we do these days. When does this come out? When is this podcast?
We're going to have it up on Monday.
Monday, brother. Yeah.
All right. Perfect. So I announced tomorrow, actually, that we've got a new TV show for Facebook coming out. and it's going to be a weekly show, and we're actually going to call it Real America. And so this is going to be like a late night talk show kind of thing. Imagine a Tosh.0 if he was a conservative kind of thing. And so, so we've been really lucky. And I mean, if you'd have told me, Tonto, when did I meet you the first time? Was it SHOT Show?
It was several years ago. It's like I think 3 years ago, brother. It's been a while. It's been a while. It's three or four. I know it wasn't last year or 2 years ago. Yeah, right, it's been a little bit. It's been a little bit.
Yeah. If you'd have told me back then that we would be where we are now, I probably would have said that you were nuts. And so we've been very blessed. We've been very lucky, and hopefully I don't screw it up too bad.
Yeah, you just knock on wood. You just jinx the shit out yourself. Everything's good. No, it's always good. Timing is perfect, and I do believe. I know you have a lot of faith. I know you believe in God and all, and I do believe that, guys, you do. It increases your luck a hell of a lot. And you getting, you got in at the time when it was a good time to get in, because this was something new, and then you're right, you doing it, what you said about it becoming oversaturated, which it did, and it still is, but that's fine. Nothing wrong with that, but have to find a new way to brand yourself. You really do. And that's what you did. And that shows perseverance. And I believe that comes back from your background as well. And I do want people to hear that. I do want to hear some of the trials and tribulations, especially being a veteran, and what obstacles you ran into and how you overcame those obstacles. I have found so much out there from people, whether they're military service, prior military service, or civilians, that they really do get a lot out of hearing about a veteran, especially a combat veteran that's been through, and it doesn't have to be combat. It can be any obstacle, any sort of adversity, and how they overcame that, not just due to resiliency, but they actually improved themselves after it happened. So they dealt with it, they got through it, but they didn't, once they got through it and they got through that hurdle, man, they were off and running, because they had really another plan going on. And that's kind of what you were talking about as far as thinking ahead. You're just thinking ahead. So I'm going to hit this obstacle. I'm going to hit it. Things are going to stagnate, and they're going to go out, and we're going to have to figure out a way to continue to move and continue those momentum. So not only am I getting over that obstacle, but once I get over that obstacle, I'm at a dead-on sprint, because I'm bettering myself. Just, Can you tell what you're thinking, and when you knew that obstacle was coming, and what sort of, even just maybe a little bit more detail, brother. And this is for the listeners out there. Yeah. I know, I get it, because I'm kind of in the same boat. You think ahead like that, but I do want the listeners to hear this, because it shows perseverance, and it shows a side that people don't think they have. They have that sixth gear. How do they get it out? How do they utilize it?
Right. Well, going to military experience, one thing that people know that I'm a veteran, but it's not necessarily something that I harp on too much, because in the grand scheme of things, I was just a normal Army guy. I wasn't airborne. I wasn't a Ranger. I wasn't anything cool like that. And so I was just a guy from Mississippi, man. I just wanted to do my part. I did go to Iraq twice, and I was a comms NCO for a combat engineer unit. I went on 300 plus missions outside the wire, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I wasn't anything special. I was just a guy doing my job. And so, but I will say that, ironically, the thing that I use today outside of the basic discipline, work ethic that the military teaches you. My last duty assignment, active duty, was I got put on a recruiting tour.
No.
So I tell everybody that ironically enough, the skill that I use the most from the military is all the sales techniques that I had to learn in recruiting school.
Customer service, man.
Yeah. And so as far as business goes, the business side of things, I think the biggest misconception that people realize or that people think about people that they see on the internet or on TV or they listen to podcasting all the time is they think that, that this is it. Like this is all that we do. And they don't realize how much freaking nonstop work every bit of this is. I tell people now, Tonto, I know you, all the stuff that you've been through, you're going to probably roll your eyes at this. I tell people all the time, I'm more tired now than I ever was in the military.
Well, bro, that's why I have Ian. He does all the hard shit. All I got to do is come on. All I got to come in his talks like, hey, man, You do all the producing, you do all the
Yeah.
editing, so I guarantee Ian's over there nodding his head right now, and I'm sitting over here snickering, going, "Yeah, sucker, Ian, I got you, man. I
No,
don't have to do shit."
it's funny though, because on some level, that's like a new thing. Because look, who really started what you do? I would say it's Rush Limbaugh. You know, he's really
Right.
the greatest.
Yeah.
Whether you like the guy or not, he's a pioneer. He's the greatest of all time, I think, at what he does.
In normal
And when
radio, hands down.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
And
the king.
and when Rush Limbaugh started, it's like all he had to do was do his research and do a radio show. You didn't have
Right.
to be a master at social media. You didn't have to know anything about algorithms and all that. And it's like the industry, especially in just the past 5 years, has changed so drastically that you have to be this jack of all trades. In a lot of ways,
Yeah.
I don't like it, because this is what I like doing. I like interviewing
Yeah.
someone like you. I like talking to Tonto. I'm not a huge fan of all the social media stuff, but in this
Yeah.
day and age, you have to do all of it.
Well, unfortunately, you kind of become a prisoner of the own monster that you've created, right?
Yeah.
So people have connected with me. And it is a part of my personality. You know, I'll get on a tangent with the best of them, but that's not all of me. That's maybe like 5% of who I am as a total person. In fact, normally, you know, Tonto, you know this, in person, I'm actually normally like the quietest guy in the room. Like I don't really, I don't really talk that much unless you talk to me. I kind of mind man, I'm married with 3 kids. You know, I don't go out like drinking and partying with
No,
people and all this
you're
stuff.
right. You're right. And the guys that are usually successful and have longevity aren't. They don't do. I
Right.
mean, no, they do what you do. They do what I do now. And I can get to the story about how I went down the wrong road. When you're done, how I nuked everything, and luckily I came out of it okay. But
Yeah.
you're right. You when you say you become a prisoner of your own monster. Well, I did, and you can see people publicly can see when that happened.
Yeah.
It's when I dropped my Twitter account. I mean, you're hundreds of thousands of followers, and and that if you look at it, I'm not looking at the followers in the public, but if you depend on those things for finance, that's a lot of money. It
Yeah.
is that you're losing because of promotion and marketing. So
Mhm.
I completely agree with you, man. You get to that point, and you handled it obviously better than I did. I nuked it. I said, screw this. I'm going to dump everything. I'm going to go in the dark. I'm going to get back to what I was before, because I'm becoming I'm believing my own hype is what I was
Yeah.
doing. And luckily, because of perseverance, because again, I got right with God, I got right with myself, I got right
It's
with
everything,
my family.
man.
It is.
Yep.
I've been able to recover from that, but it was a scary point, because okay, I got to stop that life. I can't live that monster that I've created anymore, because basically I'm not a good person as I thought I was. I'm
Yeah.
not a good father. I'm divorced from my love of my life, my wife. I'm drinking way too much. I'm going down this depressive slope. I'm in toxic relationships with terrible people.
Yeah.
What do? Do I keep? But guess what? I'm doing very well financially. What do I do?
Yeah.
Do I nuke it and then cut all the finances and hope that comes back so I can still make a living and support my family? Or do I keep going that slippery slope? Then one day somebody finds me in the shower with a bullet hole in the back of my head.
Yeah.
It really wasn't a hard choice to make, but I did it to myself. So when you said that you make your own monster, man, bro, that brings so many thoughts back of when I did, because I completely agree with you. So I know I cut in the middle of it, but I want you to keep going to how you overcame, because you overcame it and you handled it a lot better than I did.
Well,
and I want to hear about that.
Well, I don't really know. I don't really know if that's 100% true. And again, I hate to be that guy that keeps referencing the book, but I do. I talk.
No,
about
do it. You got to, bro. No, people need to read that stuff. Please.
I talk about it in the book, and I open people up to the fact of, the Lord knew what He was doing with me perfectly, because I had just started hitting some success. Me and my wife were not doing well at that time, and so it was a huge test for us. And there were what I found myself very early on. I had some initial success. People knew who I was, but everybody didn't know who I was yet. So it was a really good time professionally, I guess, to kind of hit rock bottom and realize that I'm becoming somebody that I don't want to be. And that's not who I am. And so I came very close to losing my marriage, and very early on. And I talk about it in the book. And one day, if maybe we're blessed enough to write another book, maybe me and Alyssa will write one together about like the whole experience or whatnot. But either way, it was very, very similar on my end. There came a legitimate and literal come to Jesus moment for me where, I had to make a choice. I'm not a drinker. I'm not a party. That's not who I am. I've never been that person ever. And that's what I was doing. I was hanging out at all the parties. I was getting invited to all the clubs, all the models and all the this wanted to know me and everything. And it just came down to that was this temporary happiness. And then at the end of the night, when I'd go back to the hotel room, I was by myself and just depressed and sad. I spent my 30th birthday, your 30th birthday is like supposed to be a big deal to a lot of people.
Sure.
I tell everybody that my 30th birthday, I spent it alone in a hotel room with a pizza and a beer.
I've been there, except I had some whiskey, not a beer. I've been there, and not my 30th. It would have been. I'm not gonna say because I'm older than dirt. You guys, but I've been there, same road, and I feel you, and I'm glad you came out. I'm glad you realized, and that what I tell guys, you realize what's important. Look at family. It's not all this other superficial shit that the rock songs are all about. And that I used to think of those rock songs, that's such bullshit. And then believe me, I'm no Motley Crue or Tommy Lee Wood, that sort of life. But I was with you. I'm the exact same thing, man. And you feel like you have to go to these parties. You feel like you have to. You feel like there's an image. There's some image out there you have to maintain. Right. Also, I'm making connections. I got to go meet because you never know who I might meet tonight, or if I don't go, who I might not meet. And it's all bullshit, man. And then you finally get to be true to yourself but it did. It took me on, bro. I feel you. And I'm not one up it. And believe I'm not one upping you. I only do that to Ian. I only one up Ian. But
it's easy to do, man. I'm no non-veteran here.
But I'm saying it as a positive. You caught yourself.
Yeah.
Where I know exactly where that point was in my life, and I continued down that road anyway. And I continue even knowing like this is stupid. This is going to end badly. This is going to end badly. Little Jiminy Cricket kicking me in the head, going, "You're an idiot. You're an idiot. Go left, not right. You idiot. Go left. Go left. Make a U-turn. Get back." And but it's good. And I want you to reference in the book because I've been blessed to have books out there, and that's one thing I think people need to read, especially if you are a public figure. If to read like, hey, you know what? This dude's been through the same shit that I'm going through right now. Yeah. And this is how he got it. What is his example? People need to see that. And so please, bro, don't ever feel like you can't reference the book. I do because people, you're going to touch some youngster or some 30-year-old or some old ass guy like me, some 50-year-old that's going down that slope, and they're like, all right, I'm going to fix myself. And I know you already have. I know you get mail saying, you know what, your story, your motivation has helped me get through a tough patch. So bro, it's good to hear, and I'm glad you're able to put it out there for us, and you're willing to talk about it on the show.
Well, I appreciate it, man. And I truly believe, because from the point I was when I hit that point, I like to, that we're all competitive in this world a little bit, but and so I would like to say that I was right around where everyone else was during that time frame, and it was hit or miss. Is this guy going to be a one-hit wonder like so many other people are, or is this guy going to have longevity? I truly believe that if I had not turned back to Christ and put God at the front of my marriage, decide, you know what, I've made a lot of mistakes, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to choose to make my marriage work and choose my kids. I truly believe that if I had not done that, I think that I would have died out. I really do. I really believe that I would have died out, because me being me is what has made this whole thing work, and I wasn't being me.
Yeah.
And
people can see through that, I think.
Yeah.
I think the public knows.
They can.
authenticity.
Maybe not
I
at
mean,
first, but eventually, yes. They will sniff it out.
absolutely. I always have felt like you're talking about the networking events and stuff, Chris, and I've never been a guy who likes to go to networking stuff. And at least I've noticed just from like my own career, I really stick by that principle of real recognize real, as they say. Like when I met Chris, I just could tell, genuine person. I would like to think you felt the same way about me. You know what I mean? And you kind of know who the people are. They're full of crap that are all about maintaining an image. I'm wondering, at any point, did you ever say, I don't want to be a public figure anymore? Maybe I'm going to do something else?
Yeah, well, there were the first, I point to the first year and a half, because, like I said, the Lord's been good to me. We ran into every gigantic hurdle and just pain that you could run into in the first 18 months. And thankfully, I mean, obviously we had momentum, but we were not where we are now. If we were to hit some of those problems now, it would be catastrophic, if that makes sense. And so, we hit a lot of pain, a lot of hurdles. And thankfully we were able to turn around. And one of the reasons that we were able to do that is, again, every decision I've made doing this stuff on paper doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? People will say, when we first got the TV deal with Blaze, what I wanted to do, they came to me and they're like, hey, how do you want to do this thing? Do you want to have the gigantic studios? Do you want to have all this stuff? Or what do you want to do? And there was something that just kept bugging me in the back of my head that kept saying, I had just come out on the other side of choosing my marriage. Me and my wife were making things work, going back to church, God at the front of our lives. Things were changing. And I said, there's something that's just telling me that if we do that right now, too early, we're going to lose people. I said, I really think what we need to do is the exact opposite of that. And I think we need to go back home. And they said, well, what do you mean back home? They're like, you are home. I said, no. Like back home to middle of nowhere, Mississippi. That's where I think we need to go. We need to take this show back to the middle of nowhere so I can recenter myself and be who I am again. And everybody thought I was the dumbest person in the entire. So let me get this straight. You want to go back to Lowndes County, Mississippi. All they have is a Walmart there. I mean, like I'm from the middle of nowhere, Mississippi, and that's like the big town. Where I'm from, we have a gas station, and that's it. And so, and I said, I think that's what we need to do. So we do it against everybody's better judgment. And those of you listening audio, I'm doing the quotation marks here. Everybody said that we were nuts, but there was just something that I felt we just needed to do. So we go to Mississippi, and within 6 months, we grow the show bigger than the Graham Allen everything in 6 months. We do 1 billion views in 4.5 months on the TV show. We become the network's most subscribed show on Blaze, and then everything just blows up. Everything takes off, and we change from a gimmick. I believe it was that stretch when we went from a gimmick to everybody going, oh crap, this guy's for real. He's not going anywhere, kind of thing.
Nice.
And that's when we started getting recognition on Fox News and things like that. We started becoming regulars there, and Newsmax and OAN and all the One American News. That's when it really started molding into this more political commentator type thing, because people started to finally kind of take us seriously, I guess. And then that's when the podcast idea came up. And the podcast, again, everybody argued with me on the podcast. They're like, okay, we want you to be Glenn Beck. You're going to sit there, you're going to talk 30 to 45 minutes into the mic, and then we're going to release it. I said, that's the dumbest idea. I think I said that's the gayest idea. That's the dumbest idea I've ever heard. I'm not doing it because I don't like it. And if I don't like it, I don't think that other people are going to like it, because they're going to be able to tell that I'm miserable.
Yeah.
So they said, well, how do you want to do it? I said, I want to make Dear America like a morning talk show. And well, what do you mean? I said, I want it to be not just me. I want it to be me and somebody else. And then we need a girl. I said, I think we need a girl on there because we just need a female perspective. A lot of our audience is female. And then we need a person that can be like my bounce off back and forth. They're like, well, who are you thinking? I said, Jake, my producer, and Alyssa, my wife. And they just about lost their ever loving mind. They said, you want to put I can't go as low as they did. They're like, you want your wife to be on the show. And they said it slow, just like that.
Now, this was the people at the Blaze?
Yeah, this was the Blaze. This was creative team at the Blaze. So a lot of people don't know when you do TV shows, you have like creative team meetings, right? They weren't being mean. We were just bouncing things back and forth on the creative meetings of like what we think that this should look like and feel like.
Why wouldn't, again, that don't make no sense. Why wouldn't you're supposed to be conservative, which they're Blaze, right? You're conservative. Yeah. You believe in Christianity. You believe in faith. You're strong there. But we don't want to show a strong partnership on a show with a husband and wife. Yeah, that makes no different. Fucking sense.
It's because we're different. We are not your normal. We were so different. Me and my good buddy Chad Prather. Me and Chad are really good friends. Chad's been cool with me since before I had anything to offer. And one thing about me and Chad's still with the Blaze, and me and Blaze have a really good relationship. And I'll get into how all that ended in a minute. But me and Chad were anomalies, right? Because normally what happens when you sign with a TV network is normally Sean Hannity, all these gigantic people. Sean Hannity was a radio DJ in the 80s.
Yeah.
So all these people normally get discovered, right? It's kind of like music back in the day. You find that diamond in the rough, and then you turn them into these superstars.
Dude, it's funny. This is exactly what we were saying before. Yeah. I mean, my connection with the Blaze is Andrew Wilkow, and he's very open about it. Andrew Wilkow was the guy who announced strippers at a strip club. Right? He has no problem talking about it, and he was a rock DJ, and then he went from rock to conservative talk, and it's all him. I mean, that's 100% who he is. And, to go back to just what Chris was saying, too, about why would they not be okay with it? At least in my experience, working in radio 14 years, I don't really have TV experience, but there's always those people at the top who I think in the back of their minds, they want to be the person up front. They want to be a radio personality or TV personality.
Yeah,
and they
very much so.
Yeah, and they can't leave the creative people to be creative. And they're not creative people. They're business people.
Yeah. Well, again, like I said, just for relationship purposes, me and the Blaze are great, and they weren't mean. Like anybody who's been in true creative meetings knows that at some point, some people are going to go back and forth with each other, just because different people have different things. So my point to it was, I said it's got to be Alyssa, and they said, well, why? I said, because at the end of the day, nobody is going to openly disagree with me like my wife will. My wife is the only one who is, now that it's at this point, is not, oh, that's Graham Allen. She's like, yeah, that's Graham. He's being a moron, kind of thing.
That's what happened when I had my wife. Yeah, that's when we had my wife on. That's what it was. Man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yep.
Yeah, and we needed that. And so anyway, long story short, we ended up doing it my way, and then bam, man, the good Lord blessed us again. Podcast debuts number 10 in the world. Podcast debuts. And we are still in, hang on, I don't even know what we're at. Hang on, I'm going to live check it here.
Let's
see where we're at. So we're in news. Let's see here. Goodness, where are we? We're number 72.
That's
right
still
now,
great, though, man.
I don't know if you guys can see that.
Absolutely. No, that's huge. We have not hit that top 100 in the top charts yet, so that's huge.
Yeah, and so we've been very lucky, man. And anyway, so we did that. That took us to Dallas, because once the podcast blew up, that took us to Dallas. And this is something for your listeners. We're talking about hurdles and things like that. This is real life business behind the scenes of people that you see all the time. So just because you're having a lot of success doesn't necessarily mean, just because you're having a lot of success in front of people, what they see, doesn't necessarily mean that everything's going the way you want it to go behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
So what ended up happening was we started doing really well. But one thing that I've always wanted is I don't want to work for anybody.
Yeah.
That's just how I am. I love working with people. I love having partnerships and relationships with other businesses. I love that. And that's part of business. But I don't want to work for somebody. I worked for somebody for 12 years. I don't want to work for somebody anymore. And it came time to renegotiate a deal with Blaze. At the end of the day, we just could not agree on what a new deal would look like. And so at the end of the day, we left Blaze because it was business. That's it. No hard feelings. I still go on their shows. Chad and Sarah and them come on ours. Love the Blaze. Me and Gaston and Tyler, we have a great relationship. Me and Glenn never really talked that much, but when we did, we always had a really good relationship. It was just business, and we wanted to go a different direction, which leads us to where we are now. We own everything. We're 100% independent. We do all of it ourselves. We have a building here. We have a podcast side. We've got the new studio being built for the new show. We got the book out. And so, yeah, man, that's business. And, we had to take a leap of faith. We left all the guaranteed money on the table and, took the jump that we think we can do this ourselves and do it better. And so far, even in the middle of a global pandemic we find ourselves in, we're still rocking and rolling, man. Well, podcast comes out Monday and Wednesday every week. I mean, we're just going.
That's good. No, it is right when you can work for yourself and you get to that point where you can make those decisions and you don't have to depend on someone else. The creative team making those and you can be friends with the Blaze. I'm not. I don't give a shit if they like me or not. I'm friends with people there. Now Ian probably is going, you shut up, Donald, shut up. We need to get on the book. But
I don't know if they would, man. We're so like apolitical that it just, I don't know. It would never work.
I did when Dana, this way I told Ian, when Dana Loesch was over there, I did her show a few times, did Glenn's show a few times. He's on Fox now. Business guy, I forget his name, but he did a show there a few times, but it just never, that's not me. And yeah, I said what I needed to say when Benghazi came out, but I'm not that. No, I'm right when I'm right, but I'm not that right. I'm not that. Right. And that's not saying it's wrong. I'm just that's not me. So and having someone like that or having somebody come. What I was getting at is that you being confident enough, but also be in a position where you can say, you know what? I can do this myself. I got enough backing. We can take care of it ourselves. It really takes a lot of weight off you. But you didn't do it too early. Like we talked about going full circle. You didn't do it early in your career. Right. You did it after you established yourself and you had the ability. Yeah, of course.
And in business and in life, I think a lot of people, they see where other people are at and they want to automatically jump to that point and they don't realize the horrific dragging through the dirt these people have had to go through to learn how to get to that point, right? So, I learned this lesson. Tonto, you know what I'm talking about. I got in E2 in the military, going to buy a car that I knew I couldn't afford, right?
Do you still owe AFES money? What's wrong with you, man?
Yeah, man. Like, I had the AFES card and all that stuff. I remember that. And so just the other day, I didn't put this on my public figure stuff, but I put it on my personal Facebook page because it was a big moment for me. For the first time ever, I walked onto a car lot and I was able to not only get myself a new truck that I wanted, but I was able to get my wife the vehicle that she has always said she's wanted ever since we've been married, man. And I just, I've been blessed enough and learned enough, and man, we work stupid hard here. I mean, we work hard, man. And before all this crap happened, I'm traveling all the time, getting no sleep. I'm in this state, then I'm over here, then I'm in another state. But we were able to walk on there finally after all this stuff, not in the beginning of all this, 3.5, almost 4 years later, and walk on a car lot and get the cars that we wanted. We didn't buy Ferraris or anything like that. Not my style. But the point is, we had to work and we had to learn, right? Like we had to learn how to do things the right way. And you see so many people that want what other people have, but they don't want to put in the work.
Big shock. You got to work hard to be successful, man. Yeah. I never heard that before.
Yeah. If you want to make 6 figures a year, you got to work more than everybody else, and that's just the truth, man.
And you have to go through some shitty, like you said, there are times where it can get to a point where literally you are down on your knees. Yeah, because you've just been beaten down, and you're like, man, what do I do? How do I get out of this?
And no idea how you're going to pay the bills either, because sponsor has fallen through or something. Yeah, man, all the time. Well, that's real.
It's tough. I do a lot of public speaking. That's my thing now. I really, this is fun with Ian. We have a good time. I'll be honest. So I don't go on the news anymore. That's why I don't like the it's not me. I don't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it when I was doing it. The only thing I enjoyed on TV, honestly, was when I did that sunglass commercial. That was the only time I had fun, because they let me have fun. They're like, hey, can you be can you be a jackass and ham this up? And I'm like, here, hold my beer. You have no idea.
Watch this.
But that's why. But the speaking is fun because I can reach people. But you're talking about hard work. I have people come up to me and say, hey, I want to be a speaker. How can I do it? I'm like, guys, you got to get out there and do it for free for a lot of years. Get out there and do it, and then work your way up to $500 and still give them everything you got. Walk off that stage that you feel like you've just given a year of your life away to that crowd because of what you put in your heart and soul into it. And then eventually, if you're lucky, if the right speaking bureau sees you, if you get in front of the right crowds, if you don't have an off night, you say something that you shouldn't, because you can make one slip of the tongue up there on stage, and corporations like, whoa, wait a second,
they're all over the news.
Yeah, we don't want, I've been there too, believe me. I'm gonna choke out the former President Obama. Remember, that was there. That's still the neat thing.
I remember that. Yeah,
that was a 9/11. I mean, and I told Pete Hegseth, you asked me the question, dude. If you're afraid of my answer, don't ask me the questions anymore. Yeah. And that was the last time I actually did Fox and Friends in the morning, the last time. But what I'm saying is that you put in the work, and I had to put in the work, and I had, and that really was hard. It's hard to go up there, especially if you're talking about a scenario where you see your friends lose your life, and trying to use that as a teaching point, lessons learned for leadership. So you're trying to make that story positive, even though there's so many negative things that took place. It takes a lot off your life, but then doing it for free, but working your way up eventually to where, I am at a point where I do a lot of corporate speaking. Granted, not right now because the whole country's canceled. So, but you hit the nail on the head. You put that time and you put the hard work in, and you do it for nothing. Yeah. So hopefully, eventually, if I work hard enough, and if the stars align right, and if I have faith, because faith increases your luck. It's amazing how this coincides. Yeah. That I might make it where I need to, where I can pay off my house. I can go, and I had the same feeling with my wife when we reconciled. I was like, her car was just beat up, and I'm like, hey, what do you want? And I could just say, hey. It wasn't, hey, this is the parameters. This is what we need to stay in. It was, what do you want? And granted, we're in Nebraska. We don't drive Ferraris either.
Yeah.
But it's a nice feeling to have that, man, maybe all this hard work, all this suffering that I've gone through is finally paying off, because not because I made me smile because I went and bought me something, because I still am driving the same truck I've driven forever. Yeah. But I made her smile. It just putting a smile on her face that she deserved. Yeah, I get it, man, and that's a great story. Is that little bit stuff like that in your book too?
Well, that part's not in the book because that just happened like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that particular story, I'll save it for the next book.
The next book, yeah.
Yeah. So this book, man, I'll tell you what. If I may talk about America 316.
Yeah, we want to hear about it, of course.
I'm excited about this book because I think it's going to be a lot different than people are expecting it to be. Obviously, like anybody's first book, that wasn't in Benghazi. I talk about, how I became this person that people think that they know. And so I literally take people from my childhood all the way up. There's one chapter about the military in there, and Sanso, I think you'll like this. I call it "Not Your Average War Story," and so basically, I say the other 99%. Because every Navy SEAL, Dan Crenshaw, I make fun of him all the time. Every Navy SEAL in the world, apparently, I thought they were supposed to be an elite group. There's like thousands of them that come out with books now. And you got all these SOCOM community guys, and I was just a normal dude. So I'm like, this is what it's like to go to war for everybody else.
For everybody, keep going. I'm loving this.
No. And so that's one chapter in the book, and then I talk about meeting Alyssa, and then I talk about our issues, and then I talk about how I accidentally stumbled into all this stuff. But then what I do is it turns into this commentary type thing, and to where basically like some of the biggest things that people know me for, I basically talk about those big things, those big moments, and I say, well, now that you have the backstory, now you know why I even spoke up about this in the first place, and let me tell you what it's actually like to speak your mind in America. Because when you speak your mind about things you believe, I think I even say in the book, everybody believes in something when they're surrounded by other people that believe the same thing. Yeah. It's a completely other thing to say something that you're just going to get obliterated, right? And so, I talk about it. When the Gillette commercial came out and I responded to it, and the next thing I know, there's a picture of me and my kids plastered all over the front page of Yahoo. We're in freaking Australia. We were the most racist and abusive family for a week. It was just, it was awful, man. It's brutal. And I talk about all of that. I even talk about churches in there, which I cannot wait for that firestorm to hit. But, we talk about churches and the issues that I currently have with these major mega churches. Where are these spiritual leaders? Not the mom and pop churches, like not the churches you grew up with in your small hometown. I'm talking about these mega churches that have reach to millions of people at any point, but they're silent when we've got people wanting to do late-term post-birth abortions. Where are you? You know what I'm saying? Like where's your voice during these times? I can't wait till that part comes out.
That'll be awesome, man. I think people are going to be excited because this is going to show a totally different backstory to you, because just from watching your stuff, this is atypical of the usual interview you do, and it's more you talking about political issues of the day. So I think people do want to know the man behind what they watch.
It's going to be, I didn't have the most crazy childhood, but I definitely did not have the dull childhood either. And so I'm excited for people to read it. Everybody from my hometown is super pumped because nobody knows what Caledonia, Mississippi is. And so everybody's super excited that people are going to know what Caledonia, Mississippi is. So I think there's going to be some people that hate the book. I know it comes with the territory of pretty much everything that I do. There's going to be people that hate it. There's going to be people that tear it apart. There's going to be some people that agree with all of it. There's going to be some people that agree with some of it. But my ultimate goal is I really feel like in this book, there's going to be a part in there that somebody goes, yeah, that's me, or wow, that happened to me, or wow, that's exactly how I feel about this. And that's what I'm looking forward to, is that we've all had struggles. We've all had heartbreaks. We've all had, terrible things happen to us in one way or the other. It's what we do with all that defines who we are in the end. And so, and then another thing, I'm excited for my kids not to read it now. They're too young, but when they get older, a book is like that. That's like a forever thing, right? Like you get to put, I wrote this book like I'm never going to get another chance to write another one.
Nice.
Because once they read it, I don't know if they're going to let me do it again. And so, one day my kids will be able to maybe get a better idea of not who dad was, but who Graham, their dad, was, and so that's exciting too, to think about later on down the road.
Who's publishing it? Or are you self-publishing it?
So we had multiple offers from Simon and Schuster and a couple other people.
Yeah.
But again, with me, I didn't want people all up in my business on how I wanted to do things. So we have self-published this book, and we've already, again, thanking the Lord for this, we've already pre-sold enough copies that now we have the same publishers coming back to us again, wanting to basically, buy the book from us, kind of thing. But we're doing it all ourselves, which I'm super proud of. Who knows? Maybe the next book I'll sign with somebody, maybe. But we just operate under a whole different mindset these days. Like nowadays, it used to be, oh, we got to get a deal. Oh, we have to be seen by these people. Oh, we got to get now it's a, just do it ourselves and then make everybody else come to us, kind of thing. And so that's kind of how we operate these days.
Yeah, that's the way to go, man. Yeah, you know what I wanted to ask you about? I just wanted to make sure we hit on this because I was curious about it, and I think other people will be too. When you started the Daily Rants, which I started seeing all over my Facebook feed like everybody else, was it just something that you wanted to do on your spare time that you thought people would enjoy? Was there a master plan of like, I am going to do this. This is going to be my job?
There was, it goes back to Tonto's going to laugh. There was a push in Recruiting Command that we needed to have social media pages to relate to the kids that we were going into.
So you were still, I'm going to catch up. You were still in at the time?
The first couple videos, yes, I was still.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my very first viral video hit in August of 2016. From August of 2016 till November the 1st, we made all kinds of videos and started gaining a little bit of traction. And right in that time frame, I either had to re-up or get out in December. And so yes, I was active duty. And then the success we had led to me making the jump to get out of active duty and to give it a shot, right? Yeah. Which everybody thought I was crazy for, but kind of thing. Anyway, but no, it was a total accident. And I'm very honest about that in the book. There was no grand plan. There was no anything. I created an Instagram account because all the kids were on Instagram back then. And, me and my buddy, his name was Smiley. He was a drill sergeant and he was on recruiting duty with me. We started just, goofing around. He's a black guy, I was a white guy. I was like, what if we made this video like in the van trying to like pick music or something? And so I picked like this hillbilly thing and he picks this rap song, and so we were just kind of messing around a little bit. And then one day I was at the corner of Paramondary Road in South Carolina. That's how I ended up in South Carolina. I was assigned there. MEPS was Fort Jackson. So I was recruiting in Clemson territory, Nikki Haley territory. And then we drove down to Fort Jackson for MEPS. Anyway, this old woman runs me off the road because she couldn't drive. And just for some reason that day, I was like, man, I got the social media account. I was going to make a little, back then Instagram was 15 seconds. That was it. That's all you had. And so I just made a little 15-second clip about old people that don't know how to drive. And that was the very first rant, if you will. There was no Dear America yet. It was none of that stuff. It was the most basic thing you've ever seen. And that was the very first one. And people on Instagram were like, oh, that's super funny. Oh, that's super this. And then somebody said on Instagram, they're like, you should really put this on Facebook. Because Facebook, you can share things. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So that's what I did. Somebody else told me on comments that I don't even know who they are. They said, hey, dummy, you need to put this on Facebook because people can share it. So that's what I did. So middle of August, I create this Facebook page. No followers. Like I think I taught like 1,000 people to go from Instagram to the page. And then I dropped this video. And it takes off. And all the algorithms, all the everything, none of it makes sense. Took off. Did like 7 million views or something like that. And at this point, I'm thinking, dang, I'm famous at this point. Now I know that anybody can go viral once, right? And so, anyway, Smiley, I owe a lot to Smiley because he was kind of giving me a hard time. He's like, "That's awesome, but it means nothing if you can't do it again." Kind of, digging at me, kind of thing. And I was like, "Well, watch this." And so, it started off as a gimmick, man. I was making fun of like people in the gym. I was making fun of, at the time, the chip in the debit cards and how nobody knew how to use them. People of Walmart. I mean, all kinds of stuff. It was a gimmick. And then the Colin Kaepernick thing happened the very first time. And it pissed me off, and we can sit here and debate. Me and Dakota Meyer don't necessarily agree about this. I mean, he's a Medal of Honor recipient. I love Dakota, but he is all for the right of it, and of course I am too. Like, of course I agree. Of course he has the right. Do I still think he's a piece of garbage for it? Yeah, I do, and that's just me. I hate it. I hate everything about it.
You picked. Go back. I picked the wrong. He picked. That's the wrong sentence. What are you kneeling for the flag for? You're saying the flag represents police, so the flag is just about police, nothing else. Flag's not about veterans. My thing, I disagree. You have the right to your First Amendment right, but you're an idiot because you picked the wrong symbol, dude. And honestly, if that was planned out to do it that way, just to spit in the face of America, even though you've been given gifts after gift after gift. We could probably do a whole nother podcast on that, so I'm gonna leave that. I'm not gonna start going down that rabbit hole. I think I did a little bit already when we had Nate on Boyer. So keep going, though. Keep going, bro. Keep going, man.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so that was the first time that I did a rant about something that was truly going on right that second, that I felt truly passionate about. And I accidentally said, I used to, when I did the videos, I would say, "Dear bad drivers," or "Dear fitness people," or "Dear banks," right? I would always say "Dear" whatever subject I was talking about. And so this time, just by accident, I just said "Dear America" this first time. And the rest is kind of history after that, man. Dear America kind of became this thing. And, it's the name of the podcast now. It's been around for, since the beginning, pretty much. And it went from, "Hey, you're really funny," to, "Hey, you should talk about this next," or, "Hey, have you seen this?" or, "Have you heard about that?" And anyway, I took a jump. November 1st, I let the Army know I'm not re-upping. And November the 8th, Donald Trump gets elected president, and I drop a video, and it blows up, and the rest is kind of history after that. So,
dude, that's such a cool story.
I'm feeling so old because you guys are talking like Facebook, like it was just yesterday. I'm thinking, man, I think I was on MySpace when all that shit was going on. I don't think I even knew what Facebook and Instagram. It's like Facebook had just started. Like, holy shit. There was I'm older than anything, because that's the thing that popped in my head. MySpace, man. Should I even interrupt him and talk about my? No, they're not going. I'm talking about
MySpace.
I do too. Facebook was originally just college kids. That's what it was, man. Yeah. I was on there at the original Facebook. If you guys watched that movie on it.
Facebook, yeah.
What's hard, and again, blessings and luck and timing. Now it's so to do, even to get a following, like it would blowing up, and you're doing great things with and working. What I like is your work ethic, man. Whether I agree with everything, you and I are probably going to agree on most of the stuff we talk about. There's things
nobody agrees 100% on everything,
but now Facebook just controls. Instagram controls the posts going out. There's shadow banning, but I think there's also more. They've realized, wait a second, holy crap, if we let these things go viral everywhere, we're losing out on a lot of money. So I see people say, "Yeah, we get shadow banned because they're conservative." I was like, well, I don't think we're getting shadow banned. I just think they just want you to pay for those posts and to get them out there. So Twitter's shadow bans the shit. I don't like that guy Jack. He did for me when I was on, but I also think that when you hit it at a great time where really it was. And when I was first started and I hit it, you didn't have to pay to get that exposure. It's harder now. It is harder for people to break into it because you do have to spend a little money. And hey, there's nothing wrong. Don't claim the the Democrats aren't capitalist pigs either. Look at
Yeah.
Facebook and Instagram, and that's making money right there. So you hit it at a good time, but you had a great idea. And again, but it always comes back to, I think, that you worked your ass off.
Oh,
and that's
for sure.
That's what made you successful.
When we first started this stuff, I was probably gone 3 weeks out of the month, every month, gone, not just working, like gone, traveling somewhere. SHOT Show. I would not only be at SHOT Show the entire time. I would be at what's the name of that Army Marine thing that goes on before there where they show all the gear and stuff?
Oh,
anyway,
not the SOFIC. That's a McDill. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't remember, but that would be like 3 or 4 days event before.
Yep.
I would be in Vegas for 10 straight nights, working the whole time. Hi, I'm Graham Allen. I do this, blah, 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 right? The Great American Outdoors is like 27 freaking days long. I would be there sick as a dog trying to just get my name out there. And then I'd have to hop on a flight to Dallas to be on, back when Tommy was at
Tom was at the Blaze.
And I mean, that's just part of it, man. When I first started trying to get in on Fox News, this is another thing people don't realize. You got to work for this crap, man. When I first started getting on Fox News, I finally got a producer's email, and I would just write them. And I'd say, somebody told me, they're like, the only way they're going to let you in the first time, unless something big happens, like to you specifically.
Like Benghazi.
Like Benghazi. No offense. I would rather not have to go through that to get on.
No, I do. There's nothing, bro. That's part of my life. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like, hey, attack us tonight because I want to get on Fox News. It's not like I did that shit. It just happened, and you make lemonade out of lemons. So no, when people say something negative about it, or like, oh, what I tell, fuck you. You think I wanted to watch Tyrone get blown the fuck up?
Yeah, man.
It's just so I could get on the news.
Yeah.
Like, you guys can get so no, brother. But the truth, you got to be truthful. That it's real. Yeah. Is there any other reason? I had no inclinations to be on Fox or anybody else. Would I even want to be? No, I wouldn't be in the position I'm at now if that hadn't happened. Also, if I would have curled up in a little ball and cried myself to sleep for the rest of my life either, I wouldn't have been in that position to do where I'm to be. So no, bro, you don't have to offend me, and we can joke about it because that's me. I joke about damn near everything, no matter how horrific it is. So no, keep going, Brad. You never think that you're offending me, and if you do, you know what I'm gonna do, Graham. I say, go kiss my ass, Graham. Keep going. I don't give a shit what you say. So keep going, man. Keep going.
Anyway, I got the email from the producer, and somebody told me they're like, you just got to show up. You just got to tell them that you're there, and if they can work you in somewhere that day, you would love to. So that's what I did. A lot of people don't realize the first couple times I ended up on Fox News, it's because I literally wrote the producer, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna be in Manhattan, freaking the 12th through the 13th. I would tell him I'm going to be there for other business anyway. So if they have any spots open to talk about something, I would love to do it. And what I would do is I would literally buy a plane ticket, and then I would get a hotel room right there in Times Square, not knowing if I was going to get on Fox or not. And I would just kind of take that chance. And so the first couple times I ended up on Fox was just pure horseshoe up my butt kind of thing. Like I'm on the flight, still hadn't heard anything from them, land at LaGuardia, and I've got an email back saying, hey, can you be in the studio at like 6:30? And bam, I'm in. And that's what I would do. And I would literally go straight from LaGuardia to my hotel. I'd go grab like a slice of pizza from Sbarro's right across the Crown Plaza, right across from the Crown Plaza in Times Square. And then I'd go right back up to my room and get ready to get up early in the morning to do the hit. I'd do the hit. I'd go right back to the airport. I'd go home. And that was it. That was the whole trip. And people don't see that. Like, they don't see how draining that kind of crap is all the time, just to try to get that relationship going to where now they'll let me just Skype in, and it looks like garbage because it's Skype and all this stuff. I don't care because we've been doing it for so long now. But that's what you got to do. People just think that one day people at Fox are going to see you and they're going to reach out to you and be like, "Oh my God, you're so awesome." We would be honored for you to come on the show. That's not how.
No, you have
100%.
Yep.
Yeah, like Kate Hyde, who we had on the show, the way she got on Fox is she lives right around me, and the thing is, you got to be in the area. You got to make that presence known. So anyway, the book once again is America 316. Comes out July 28th. Pick it up on the website. Twitter is at Graham Allen _1. On Instagram at Graham Allen 1. Check out the Dear America podcast. And this has been awesome, man. This has been a really good long form interview. And it's funny, whenever we have someone on like you, I think it might be surprising that we don't really get into politics, but I think people enjoy hearing this other side of people.
Well, believe it or not, I do have conversations that are not politics.
Exactly.
Most of the time, but politics. The truth of the matter is, I tell everybody that's like, "Oh, I just can't talk about politics." Well, then you're denying real life is what you're doing, because politics is the world. I mean, that is what's happening in the world. Nothing pisses me off more than when people are like, "I don't have a TV, I don't have social media, I don't have anything." Well, how the crap do you know who you're going to vote for? Like where are you doing your research on what's going on, who these candidates are, the bills and the plans that they're trying to pass? How do you're irresponsible, just to be honest. And that's just how I feel. Politics is important. Should it take over your whole life if it's not your job? Absolutely not, because it's a freaking nightmare. But you can't avoid it, because we're all adults here. You're a grown man or woman, and you need to sack up pretty much and pay attention to what's going on in the world.
Yeah, man. This has been a good discussion. Great having you on, man.
Yeah, guys. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No, good job, brother. We'll see you maybe at next year's SHOT Show, man. If I have to go, if you have to go, we'll at least high five in the hallway, and then I go back to my room and hide out like I usually do.
There we go. Sounds
all right,
good,
buddy.
Man.
Hey, tell the family hi, man, and give your wife hugs. She's got her work cut out for her as usual.
Yeah, I will, man. I will. All right, you guys be blessed. All right.
Thanks, man. I'll have this up on Monday, and I'll shoot it over to you guys.
Okay, sounds good, man. Later.
All right, bye.
Dude, I have to say, as we're wrapping up from that interview, that went way better than I was expecting. Not that I was expecting it not to go good, but you and I have said it basically off air. The favorite people that we like having on are the people who are entirely candid. And I can tell he is very secure with who he is as a person, and he's able to talk about any downfalls he had, and those are my favorite interviews.
Well, you have to be, man. If you can't talk about your failures, then what are you? He talks. He says, if you can't get into politics, and that's something I'll never agree with Graham on. Because I give two fucks about politics, being mashed in the middle of it and seeing the inner workings from the angle I was at. But that being said, with him, and we'll disagree with that on things, but it won't sour our relationship on because I think I maybe not have let on that him and I are actually closer than probably what I let on.
I didn't even realize that. I as far as I knew, you never met the guy. So.
No, we've met, and now we're friends. Just like I'm friends with John Burke, even though Burke's doing different things. I got to know Graham through John Burke. John's a great guy. So is his wife, Laura. Whether you like his politics or his sayings or not, he's another guy that we should get on the show, because he's just like Graham as far as, he's just going to say what's on his mind. Who gives a shit what you think? He doesn't care. Granted, as I'm getting older, I've learned to have a little bit more of a filter than when I was 30. I see a lot of myself in Graham when I was 30 than now when I'm 50. And I'm sure, as you grow older, you still have that vigor. You just have a filter that you learn to process things a little bit more. You just not sensitive. It's just, you're just a little softer. And you really do. And then I'll hit 70 and I'll be the grouchy Clint Eastwood on the porch with my shotgun going, "Get off my lawn, you little whippersnappers." But,
I think the way that he is, though, has made him, to be the guy that we know. I think that if he didn't approach things the way that he did, he might not have had the following that he does. You know what I mean? When I hang out with Wilkow, he's on 10 at all times. He's actually the opposite. How Graham was like, "Oh, I'm quiet. I'm usually the guy in the background." If you've hung out with Andrew and you've heard him on air, that's him at all times. All right. And And if he wasn't that way, he wouldn't be where he is. And I could actually tell you, I once gave a demo of mine, right, to Andrew and to his old producer, Nick Rizzuto. And they were like, this is good, man, but you got to have something where you're just like really hammering a liberal, really getting into it. I'm like, I don't know. That's just not really my style. And I think Graham's style works for him. Everybody
no, you're right.
I could watch Tommy Lahren and be like, I'm not into this. It's not for me, but she's obviously doing something right.
Well, she'd be another good one. Maybe we'll reach out to Tommy and she'll get on the show. She's a very nice person. I don't always agree with her politics again, but what she does though is she is a tremendous role model, not because of the politics, but because of the adversity she's went in to become successful at her age. I think she's a tremendous role model for young ladies out there, and everybody, but specifically young ladies, because she's done a lot and been through. I'm sure there's some dark stories that she's had to go through being in television, being an outspoken conservative, especially and she is a millennial, being that and that she's overcome and still succeeded. Graham's the same way. Graham is 30's millennial, right? Or am I dating myself?
Apparently, well, Graham's like me. He's 33, so we're both 33.
Are you millennials?
I think we technically are, but you know what it is? I still feel like we're something else, because when I think of millennial, and I could be off, even though technically we are, I think of people who never grew up without an internet. I think if you grew up without the internet, it's a little bit different.
Okay,
you,
I can't argue with you, because I don't know. All I know is I'm going to say that genre. I think of a specific person, how difficult it is at that age to be conservative. I don't think anymore, but you could say 3 or 4 years ago.
It depends on the region, though. You know what I mean? I think a lot of that is the New York, LA centric media, because they're not from Montana. If you grew up in Montana, I think it'd be rare to be a PC liberal, wouldn't it? I mean,
no, you're right. I that's up for discussion. I guess I'm leaving an open-ended discussion here, because I don't know, but getting back to Tommy and Graham, what I'm saying is that at the time that they were speaking out, I would say probably a lot of the country, especially being in television, they came up against obstacles because they weren't speaking things that people wanted to hear. So to me, having their stories and knowing their stories is not what their outlook views are politically. It's that they ran into obstacles, and at that age, in your 20s, being called whatever names you're being called, whether it's on the internet or on the phone or text, and still sticking to your guns and still overcoming whatever that obstacle was. And like I said, not just overcoming it and being resilient, but when you hit the ground after you've overcome that obstacle, you're off and running, which means that you're being basically, you're not letting it stop you. Not that you're just overcoming it. You're actually making it better. You're bettering yourself by when you hit off that you're running, and you're going to succeed even more because you got more fire. I think that is what resonates and people should hear. And I think you could learn that whether you're conservative or liberal. If you have that vigor to stick to your guns and be successful with it and find your niche, everybody can learn that, because it's overcoming adversity. It's overcoming adversity, and it's becoming successful even in the face of negativity and negativity. And even if you're being in the minority, because what you're saying is not well received by the majority of America, but you still stick to your guns and you're still successful. To me, that's a hell of a story, whether you're liberal or whether you're conservative. And I think that's what Graham has done. And we threw Tommy in the mix because I think she's done that as well. But Graham, because of our guest on the show, definitely he's done that. And people are hearing it too, brother, that he's, again, a genuinely nice guy and family man. I love that he's a Christian, and politics or not, you can just tell he's a good person. I really believe that he's a good person. And if he proves me wrong, well, we can talk about it on one of the shows. But from what I've known, I think he's a very, very good person and a good family man. And that means more than anything to me, as far as not the political aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. So before I forget, because I said we were going to get to it in the intro, when I got to it, I didn't want to ignore yours. I want to hear at least off the top of your head.
Yeah.
What would Tonto's top 5 rock singers be?
It's
not like who's the best. Like when I have Axl Rose in there. He might not technically be the best singer. He's a favorite singer of mine.
Well, mine, and this is not the alternative Howard Jones. This is Kill Switch Engage, man. And
he's great.
And he does. I love.
So wait, is he number? Because we're all out of order here.
We'll just put him at number 5. We'll put him at number 5. We'll put him at number 5. But he could very well be all. I think you can interchange any of these people. But Howard Jones. But it's weird too, because he very well. If and I forget who the other, you and Pat Mack would be kicking my butt right now, but the singer that they had prior to him that passed away, and he actually took over. He
didn't pass away. He's actually back in the group. Jesse Leach.
Was it Jesse Leach? I see. Yeah. There you go. You and Pat can make fun of me on that.
Yeah, believe it or not, Howard Jones. I have no connection with him, but he'd be an interesting person to have on the show.
Oh, I'd love him.
Yeah. And the reason why is because at the height of Kill Switch Engage's fame, he went through a horrible depression where he's like, I don't want to do this anymore.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they brought back Jesse Leach, who's still singing with them. Yeah.
But when I'll be on, no offense, Jesse, but when I hear Kill Switch Engage, it just, again, I go back to that. It's just more soul. There's more soul, but he still got that scream in him that you need as a rock singer.
It's funny because I'm a Jesse Leach guy, but they're both great. But
see, I love. But all
right, so that's number 5.
Brother, we talked about it. He growls a lot when he's with Slipknot, but the dude can sing. The dude's got some pipes. That's Corey Taylor, man. Corey Taylor can sing. I really I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right.
I already know what you're talking about.
Seven Dust Lejon, Witherspoon. Again, another one that can sing, that's got octaves, man, that can sing, just tremendous. And then I don't know if I should put him number 1 or number 2, but I don't know how you can keep Rob Halford off. I really don't know if that's, but I'm going to say Rob Halford to me is my number 1. And then he used to be the lead singer for Mudvayne. Now he's the lead singer for Hell Yeah. And when he's not growling and he's actually singing, dude, he's got some octaves, man. And it's Chad Gray.
Nice. That's a good list.
Bro, I love Hell Yeah. And that's we talked about that one on Pat Mack's episode, but we got that that all-star team with Hell Yeah. But when Chad Gray was with Mudvayne, man, and even with Hell Yeah, Welcome Home is a great song. If you want to hear him sing, listen to Welcome Home. But dude, the dude can sing, but he can also rock, and all these guys can rock as well. But that can be interchangeable too, man. You really can. I mean, you could Phil Labonte, the now of Phil Labonte, but also 2 Weeks. I still think 2 Weeks is probably the greatest rock song still out there by all that remains. Nice. Dude, Phil Labonte can sing, man. He can growl, and I don't know how, because he smoked. And I know Phil's a tremendous guy, great guy, and just a good dude. When he's in the gym working out all the time, and he smokes a little bit, like, how can you sing like that? And so I just don't get it, but he pulls it off. And so Phil's always in there, but it just depends on the song, what he's singing. But Phil, if he's got to be growling, he's going to growl. But the latest episode, he's got some he's got some power ballads in there, and all that remains.
You mean the latest album?
The latest album. When was the latest album that Phil did with the?
I don't know. No, but you said layest episode.
Oh, episode. Sorry, latest album that they did. Yeah, and I was watching videos while I was down in my basement. I turn on the videos and watch rock videos while I'm working out in my basement. I got TV. I don't remember the name of the song. I'm sorry, guys, but I know it's the latest album because it was 2020 was when the info came up on it, and it was a ballad, like a power ballad, and the dude can still sing. And what is it? He's in his 40s now. So yeah, 2 Weeks is still. I'm not talking about songs. I'm not talking about singers now. Still 2 Weeks after all these years. That's a song I used to listen to in Iraq in early 2000s before we go out the gate. That song can still rock, because that came on after. That song still can rock up there with the new ones from Hell Yeah and Slipknot and Five Finger Death Punch. So man. So anyway, now we're going on a tangent to rock bands. Let's save that for
that's
another
cool, man. We'll definitely get him on. And there's other rock guys I want to get on the show, like we were talking about before.
Korn. We got to get Korn.
David Silvera, the original drummer from Korn. He's very politically in line, with us. He'd be a cool guy to have on. And then Jimmy Allen, who was the original songwriter in Puddle of Mud. He's a fan of the show.
Dude, Blurry, yeah, dude, those songs, and that's Corn and Puddle of Mud, Funky Monkey out there in Fort Lewis. That's what we had on at the Ranger at the or the Ranger Gym or the Ranger Fitness Center, because we all had battalion. Army has their own gyms. Battalion, we have our own gym there at the 75th, at 2nd Ranger Battalion, so the other battalions. And there was a radio station. It's not up anymore. It's called the Funky Monkey, and it's out of Seattle. So we're in the Northwest, and that was during the grunge era. So that's all. You had Puddle of Mud that was playing on. Corn, of course. Corn's killing it. Jonathan Davis still with, I don't know how he does that. He does that little grumble voice. One of the, but that's the stuff that when I was serving, that I listened to, and that was on constantly. And those guys, I love. That's the music I grew up on. So if they came on the show, you have no idea. I'm not starstruck, but I would completely be honored.
You're gonna nerd out.
Yeah, because it brings back memories. And sorry about the airplane, guys, if you can hear it out there.
No, I don't. You sound fine.
Yeah, it's because it brings back great memories of when I was growing up and learning to be really in the special ops community, because I was a young private at Ranger Battalion, and it really resonates, that sort of grunge rock, and even the rock nowadays. It really does go hand in hand with the 75th Ranger Regiment, to be honest with you. So it really brings back memories. Not just the music is great. It's just, I can remember when I heard the song, where I was at and what I was doing, what was going through my head. And then it just continued on to when I was deploying all the time. So yeah, it makes me smile. I'm smiling right now talking about it.
Yeah, music really does take you back to a specific time. It's cool. I'm doing that on Instagram. If people haven't followed us, follow us at Battleline Podcast. I'm doing that 31-day music challenge on our thing, which is kind of cool, where it's just this is a song like today, this is a song that reminds you of summer, and you're putting up different songs. So I figured it'd be fun to be a little interactive with that. And we're gaining a good following on Instagram. The Facebook has already been growing like crazy, and hopefully this Graham thing puts things over the top. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little envious of that setup he has. He has a very nice setup there that he did on his own.
Talk to Ton a little bit. Maybe I'll invest a little bit more money into our digs, so we don't have to leave home. Leave home anymore. Actually, I'm enjoying not having to go anywhere. People have no idea, and I know we're in completely different boats with this, but this is what I would do when I come back from deployments, is that I would just be a shut-in and be in my house. I go out when I had to, but I would just stay home. And I got away from that when I was doing, when the book came out and I was doing the public speaking and the training. I was gone all the time. So my life really did change quite a bit. Now that I'm back home again, I love being home, dude. I don't want to go out. So I'll go out and do my run. I'll go out, today, like I said, I went to the grocery store, got some groceries, came back to my house. We're doing the podcast. I'm going to go back in my house now and go work out, and I'm good being at home. We got a barbecue, so we'll probably barbecue some burgers, and that's what I used to do anyway. So to me, this is really, I'm coming back to full circle, back to normalcy of when I was started deploying and coming back home. What was that? That was almost 17 years ago. So to me, I've come in full circle. So I'm seeing positives come out of this whole thing. I hope people still can see positives out of it, even though a lot of them are getting, what's the word we call, that's not house arrest. The house arrest is causing them to go stir crazy.
It feels like house arrest to me, but doing this show does let me escape a lot. I do love doing this. I love interviewing people that I find interesting, and sometimes I'm surprised. Of the interviews we do, like when I had Frankie from Amur on, to me, that's something when people are like, oh, who's your favorite guest? To other people, it might be the Spec Ops guys. For me, it's him, because I was a fan before I ever met him, and we're similar guys. When I heard Graham Allen was coming on, or that he wanted to come on, I'm like, oh, that's cool. He's got a great following. I wasn't sure if it would be my favorite interview. And then as we got into it, I was like, I really like everything this guy is saying. I really enjoyed that interview.
Well, great. Graham speaks from the heart. And that's the best way you can do it. And, I didn't mention it, but I wanted to mention it to him. And I know he knows this already because he's been in the game long enough. You're never going to be able to please everybody. He's like, he's like, man, people aren't going to like it. Some people will. I'm like, brother, and I've been doing it not, just the same amount of time as him. So I'm not talking like I have any more experience. I think just talking from an age experience, like, dude, you're always going to have haters. You can go and cure cancer and then also find the cure for AIDS, also invent the vaccine for the Micheloba hobovirus, the COVID virus, and people are still going to hate you. There's always going to be a few out there. So it's just the nature of our society. The United
I
States.
definitely think he realizes that.
Yeah,
because and also everybody has an opinion. Everybody has haters, but you know what? Like really struck me during the interview, and I know it's the same thing. That you said with your story. Yeah, everybody posts on social media, but if you could buy like a home and a car for your family based off your opinions, you're doing something right. And I don't think you really care about the haters at that point.
Because your family's happy. That's what it always comes back to. Your family is happy. He went through the same things. We both went through the same things. I think if we had Dakota on, or we had Marcus Luttrell on, or even Rob O'Neill, or they will tell you that same sort of story that he said, that I have told before, even written about, that yeah, when we started believing our own bullshit and started buying into the women and the alcohol, and hey, look at me, you can be on TV, or hey, look at me, we can make your followers, and you start believing your own bullshit. That's when your life starts going downhill. And that's what I've said on prior episodes. Us military guys, spec ops guys, we're not built for that. That's not what we are built for. Granted, being in special operations or being in the military now is kind of looked at, and especially in Graham's case, even in some my case, Tig's case, is kind of looked at, you're an influencer, but really that's not why we ever did the job. And we don't have that mentality of being able to be out there and handle that spotlight. Where I do think people that are in Hollywood, that's kind of, they understand that when they go down that road, that's the road they're taking, that you do have to hobnob. There are going to be women and drugs and the rock and roll life too. And when guys like myself, or even Graham, like he talked about a little bit here, get in that, we find out, wait a second, this is not me. What's going on? I'm becoming everything that I didn't want to become. And we go down that slippery slope. And in my case, I almost ended my life. In Graham's case, he caught himself with the help of his wife, and didn't go that far, but he was going down that road. And so that's what I like to hear, that he came out of it, and that he's able to take care of his family, because his family's there, and his family's the one that helped pull him out of that deepness, that he didn't need to be in, those demons that were going to eat him up. And that he's still, at the end of the day, because he's successful, it's because he works his ass off. And go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
No, all I was going to say, I think, because I've talked to all the guys you've mentioned, except for Marcus Luttrell, I just think everybody handles it different. I mean, I think at this stage in his life, it sounds like he likes being a public figure. I mean, he has a very different story than you, because you never set out to be a public figure. You never, you just got thrown into the spotlight.
And I let myself.
It's a totally different thing, I think. I think he set out to do this. At a certain point, it became, it changed him. And it seems like now he's back on track. But I always do try to look at things as an individual. I mean, because Rob O'Neill, for example, I think, I'm being honest, because I like the guy. I've texted with Rob about things. Maybe we'll get him on. I think Rob loves being in the spotlight.
You're right. No, maybe that. I'll be honest. That probably was a bad example. I shouldn't have used him, because
by the way,
I have to
I don't
agree
say
with
that
you
as a negative. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think there are kids out there who learn about the Navy SEALs through people like Rob, and some people like the spotlight, like being a public figure, and some don't. And I mean, like I said, to me, he's one of those people who loves it, I think.
And you're right. I probably was, again, I'll reiterate that probably was a bad example, because I'm not buddies with Rob. We've met before. We've been we in the green room with Fox. We've talked before. I'd say we're acquaintances. But if it ever gets to where you're getting into trouble, whether it's because alcohol or drugs or something, you're veteran and you're in the spotlight, to me, that's okay. You take a step back, man. Is that the example that we need to be setting for it? Now, don't tell. And I get it. And do we drink in the Ranger Battalion and SEAL teams? Of course we do. But are we in the spotlight? Are we in the spotlight getting on the front page of the news if we do that? If you're a public figure, you're going to be. And you've seen that. You've seen that. We've seen that with Rob. Nothing, but that's what I'm trying to get at, is that if that's the route that you're going and you enjoy that, you got to take a step back too. You got to remember, I am out front. Do we drink in the teams? Do we drink at battalion? Do we have a few too many every once in a while on a long tab team? Or of course, but when you're out front and they're saying it does say, if I was arrested for a DUI, it would say Army Ranger or former Benghazi course, that's what it's going to be, the headlines. And I started to think about that because I was going down that slope of drinking way too much and getting into trouble or, and I'm like, man, do I want first of all, I don't want my son to see, but do I want that person, that kid that's thinking of going in? Do I want him to read that, man? And so there is a responsibility that we have to take. We do as those public figures, I hate saying that, the influence, whatever.
It's funny. You were about to say influencer, which is a word you hate even more.
I hate that word. I hate that word. What the hell is that? But we have to have a little bit more responsibility if we're out there in the open, and hence it means why I changed my ways of being that kind of person, of being trying to think I was living a rock star life and really just becoming a terrible person and a terrible role model, because we are role models. So you have to, brother, I don't want to give him any credit. I really, but I'm going to. But he's a hypocrite, and remember, I don't know if you remember, me and Montel Williams were getting in a spat when I had my Twitter account.
No, because I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, I defended Rob O'Neill on something because I defended somebody said something about bin Laden, and some idiot on Twitter said, "Oh yeah, how do you know about bin Laden?" Like, oh my god, and I was tagged in it. And like, oh my, so basically the guy didn't know that Rob O'Neill was the guy that shot bin Laden. And
Sure.
so I said, never go full, I use that never go full retard thing. Yeah. And guys, that's why the movie Tropic Thunder's referenced at 13 hours. That was something I used to do overseas. I'll get into more of that when people will talk about that. But I get why it offends people. I understand that. But anyway, what I was getting into is that Montel Williams chimed in. Now, he didn't know who I was. Montel Williams said, even though he's a former Marine, he's a pogue, though. He wasn't a grunt. He chimed in and said something to me. And then and somebody else chimed in and said, do you know who you're talking to? Because it was about combat. I mean, it got into combat and firefights and this and that. But when Montel found out, he's like, wait, oh, this is the dude that was in me. You could tell he was not apologetic, but he backed off a bit. He goes, well, this gentleman here, I respect his service, I respect what he did in Libya, but he's been given a platform. I would believe he would have handled it. He would handle it better than what he's doing it right now, or something. Because I think it was when I said I was going to choke Obama or something. That's what it was. And now Montel Williams, that's typical hypocriteness by him. So it wasn't that it was him saying it; it was what he said, and I had to take a step back too. And that's when I started to reevaluate what I was doing. Like, wait a second, okay. The dude's a hypocrite because he's doing exactly what he's telling me to do, what he's telling me not to do. He's been doing that for forever as a veteran, and he's playing these political games and saying terrible things about people. But then I looked at him like, wait, I'm not Montel Williams, and you know what? He's right. I'm not setting an example. I have a platform to actually bring something positive from Benghazi. And what I'm doing right now is being I'm being partisan. I'm using politics and screaming and thinking you're an idiot just because you don't believe what I believe in. You're liberal, so obviously you're dumber than a bag of hammers. And that's what I'm like, wait a second, that's not right. That's not what I want to do. He's completely right. And actually that's when I started to really start to look at myself, like, I am going down that crazy road of being just a bad person and playing these sides and games, and he is correct. I have the opportunity now to actually bring something positive out of Benghazi and have people do lessons learned about leadership and how war doesn't need to shape you into a negative person. And so, Montel Williams, if you're listening out there, I still don't believe in a lot of shit you say. I still think you're pretty much a hypocrite. But that thing that you said to me on Twitter was a direct response to me on Twitter.
I interviewed Montel. Right. I interviewed Montel on the last podcast I was a part of. It was interesting.
Well, we could have him on because he really did. I'll give him credit. That little bit right there stuck with me. I'm like, you're exactly right. And again, that's when my speeches started to change. That's when I stopped doing a lot of the Lincoln dinners and the Reagan dinners and the fundraiser, the speaking for the fundraisers for conservative. Not that it's a bad. There's great people that need to hear the story there, but again, that's where I was like, wait a second. I have an opportunity here to really bring something positive from this story. Hillary had already lost, so I didn't need to get in the politics. That was the whole reason I was out there for him. Actually, there was no way in hell she was going to win the election. Was I going to vote for Trump? Probably not. But was I going to let her win? No, I was going to do everything in my power to make sure she did not win. Well, she had already lost. Like, okay, that done. Charlie, Mike, what do I do next? All right,
Yeah.
let's get out of the damn weeds. Let's get out of the ditch and start making this a positive story and bring positivity out of this, out of what happened to us in Benghazi, and not the if you love Hillary, you're a complete idiot. No, I don't. I'm not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Although you do like that meme that I put up because that was pretty
That
funny.
was, dude. It's when it's true. I always say when it's funny because it's true. There's nothing wrong with being truthful, and there is nothing wrong at all about that. That was hilarious, dude.
Yeah,
But
for those who don't know, it was Bill Clinton saying, "Thanks, China. Now she's home all the time."
And come on, you Clinton followers know that that's kind of true too. That's funny. That is funny.
Yeah,
That's,
you know what it is. I don't get so anything we post. It's supposed to like make you chuckle and because there's enough. We both feel the same way. There's enough of it out there just getting people outraged and it made me laugh, so I put it up. But yeah, man, wrapping things up here. I think people are going to dig this episode. And once again, this is sponsored by our friends at Fort Scott Munitions. Fort Scott is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition that is designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. Fort Scott Munitions is available throughout privately owned businesses in every state, as well as directly online through fortscottmunitions.com. Use exclusive promo code Battleline for 15% off your order. Only available to listeners of the Battleline Podcast. Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Chris Peranto, Battleline Tactical, and the Battleline Podcast. If I have my schedule right, because I don't have it in front of me, I think that I usually don't tease it out, but I know it'll come on. Think that we have Jim West coming on the next podcast, which I can't wait for. I love Jim.
Yeah, you'd know better than me, dude. You know me. Hey, who's on? Oh, okay, let's get it on.
Jim is truly like one of my favorite people in the world. So he just is. So I'm excited for people who haven't heard him possibly to hear from him. Legend in the community. So
he's old school, man. When they always say, hey, the last class, the hardest class was the last class. Well, it's obvious with him. His class was a hell of a lot harder than me, and you can tell by how he is. He's one tough SOB, and he is. He's a legend in the community, in the special ops community. Rightfully should be, and he's very well respected. I respect him immensely, and always trying to be that kind of guy in the community that he is. It's just tougher nails, but he's tough, but I also believe he's got a good heart, and that's what we need in the community. So yeah, looking forward to that, man.
Absolutely. Anything else before we wrap things up for the followers out there and
listeners? No, just hey, check out with that. I know people have been asking. I put it up early initially, but the toolbox, that 300 blackout little shorty rifle, that's my rifle, made by Maxim Defense, and that's the Tonto rifle that I train with, I teach with. I use it. I have one that I use for home defense. There's 40 of those left. That's it. And then that's going to be it. The Gen 1, we're not going to make them anymore. They're on sale. Take a look and go to my website, christanoperano.net. And guys, I love it. I love that thing. And there's pictures of me shooting it, and I put over 1,000 rounds through that thing. Fort Scott Munitions ammo too. And no, if you're in there for a PDW, or it's a 7.5 inch barrel rifle, really, for a short barrel rifle, you'll be plenty happy with it. It's tremendous, and we retooled it at Maxim Defense, and it runs fantastic. And just go to my website, check it out. If you're into purchasing, you have a little bit of that stimulus check, I call it gun money. To buy a new weapon system. I'm kidding. Buy food first. Buy
I think we all agree with that. Yeah.
Second. But if you're looking out there to get a new little shorty rifle, man, it's awesome, and I'll have a Facebook live feed, and also there'll be a video of it on my website. You can check to see, and yeah, grab one. Hope you do.
Nice, man. Yeah, I'm trying to do more of those Facebook lives since I'm home, so I'll try to do some of those. It's really like more your realm, but yeah, I like doing them, and yeah, I'm getting more and more great feedback from people checking out every show and saying that they're liking what we're doing and that we're separating ourselves from a lot of the other stuff out there. And yeah, and also people checking out the back episodes. I think I got a message today from someone that was like, "Hey, loving the show, but I'm only on episode 4." So a lot of people are like starting from when we started and binge listening. So,
but I think we planned that, dude. I honestly didn't believe people would start listening to 6-7 months, and people will start and they'll go back to it. So that's a good sign, man. We'll just keep doing what we're doing and getting good guests on, and you keep doing all the executive producing thing and let me just sit and talk, and I'm happy.
Cool, man. Well, thanks to Graham again for coming on, and thanks to you guys, not just for supporting our sponsors, of course, but just listening and allowing us to do this. It means a lot.
God bless you guys. We really appreciate it. It allows us to still get some content out and stay busy, and allows me and Ian not to go stir crazy. Him will be more stir crazy than me, since I'm used to being stir crazy. but we really do appreciate it. God bless all you guys out there. It means a lot, and tell your friends to get over to the podcast and listen to it. I think they'll be happy, and please give us your recommendations. Don't be afraid to say, hey, we like a little bit of this. We'd like to hear a little bit more of this. Yeah, Ian's always good at reading all those emails.
Battleline. Yeah, Battleline Podcast at gmail.com. Yeah, and
good to go.
And we'll see where everything goes with the quarantine situation. We may end up doing 2 shows a week. I'm kind of given until the end of this month to just have an idea of that. Because it really depends on both of us. If you're doing, more speaking engagements, and I get it. So we'll reevaluate things, but loving, what you guys are saying and what we're doing, and appreciate it. As I said, God bless you guys once again, as Chris said, and thanks to Graham. Really appreciated him joining us and giving us a long interview.
Perfect, brother. Appreciate it, man. We've appreciated everything enough. All right, we've done enough appreciating. I'm going inside to get my workout in. You guys go get a workout in too, and Ian, go for a jog, man. Go get out there and run that trail.
That's all for this week's Battleline Podcast, but we'll be back on Monday with more American Straight Talk, so make sure you're subscribed. And keep up with the show 24/7 on Facebook and Instagram at Battleline Podcast. Also on Twitter at Battleline Pod. As always, never quit.